Hello and good evening. Welcome to our Tuesday evening workshop. Happy to have you both here. If you can both introduce yourselves, pull the mics closer, and then please continue.
Hello, my name is Megan Bates. I'm the Public Works Deputy for Maintenance and Operations, and I have here this evening with me John Kaczynski. He's the Environmental Services Superintendent. We are grateful to be here this evening to share this very important topic, and we hope that those that are listening in will spread the word on what they hear this evening. A few months ago, John and I did a similar presentation to Public Works staff, and in the middle of our presentation, someone raised their hand and said, "What does it look like, this automated side collection?" And so we thought that we would start this evening so that you can have a visual in your mind as we finish up on the presentation.
So just a little quick video.
Good morning. Thank you for calling Casella. This is Rachel. How may I assist you today?
Yes, hi Rachel. My name is John and I'm calling because I just saw your driver put my trash and recycling in.
Hold on.
To separate recyclables from trash is going to waste.
Can you just
Thanks for
restart it
calling
Yeah,
John.
I'll start all of it.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for calling Casella. This is Rachel. How may I assist you today?
Yes, hi Rachel. My name is John and I'm calling because I just saw your driver put my trash and recycling in the same truck. I'm worried that all my effort to separate recyclables from trash is going to waste.
Thanks for calling, John. Not to worry. Your route is being serviced by what is known as a split-bodied truck. The truck's body is split into two compartments, one side for trash and the other side for recyclables. The driver is able to control where the material is going from safely inside the cab of the truck.
Really? That's so interesting. I was wondering why I was only seeing one truck on our street these days instead of two. I was worried we weren't recycling anymore.
I completely understand your concern. And believe me, we get calls like this all the time, and we're happy to help. These trucks are safer for our drivers, cleaner for the environment, and cut down on traffic through your neighborhood. Be sure to let your friends and neighbors know what you learned and help us spread the word.
I absolutely will, Rachel. Thank you for taking the time to explain this. I'm so glad to know that recycling is alive and well.
My pleasure, John, and thank you for being a Casella customer.
We have another video we could show you, but just to respect the amount of time that we have, I wanted to show this video because it's a customer concern call, and it does talk on recycling, so I like that particular video. This is just a quick review of the history and bringing attention to the square bullet that you see up there. This is driven by the solid waste collection industry. Okay, so this is not an option that we're talking about this evening. John and I both spoke with waste management representatives from Waste Management and Casella. These are the two major players for this. And also it's being driven by the costs of workers' comp. It is slated by OSHA to be in the top 10 deadliest assignments. So about 33 workers per 100,000 die doing waste collection, curbside waste collection. The automated, I just wanted to mention again that this automated side load, it's ASL or cart to curb is what we're going to call it, is the future for curbside waste collection. So we have a new council, we have an acting city administrator, a new public works director, and a very short timeline to get this contract in place for the continuation of curbside collection. Very short timeline. We talked a little bit at budget about the amount of time that it would take to order the trucks and other materials, so we want to make sure that we make that point this evening.
Okay. So one of the things is that we wanted to
Can
make...
you move the mic closer,
Yep,
please?
sorry. So Casella has been a partner for the city for quite a while. We've got a draft contract from Casella at this point from earlier discussions. Well, decisions haven't been made on what we're doing with the automated side load on routes, purchase and size of carts, and apartment building collection, recycling. There's a lot of other details that have not been decided yet. That's going to depend on who's the contractor, and that needs to be decided soon. We have developed an outline for planning, implementation, and post-implementation of this thing, but that's an ongoing exercise as we try to delve into all the details of this. We're looking for a transition to begin spring of 2026. We don't want to start in the fall or winter to be challenged with winter conditions and starting this new program. So we want to make sure we're starting when we're not dealing with winter operations. We've done some investigation into the transition. This included meeting with other municipalities, sending out a survey, discuss, and this roundtable discussion with those municipalities and other public works director. Both have provided very valuable information on this process of municipalities that have already transitioned to the automatic side load and others that are in the process. Now, most other municipalities limit the number of multi-units that they put on their collection, automatic side load collection, to 5 or less. Lewiston does not limit that, and that's one of our bigger challenges we'll discuss later. Now, there's also going to be need to discuss changes in the solid waste ordinance, fee schedule, and possibly the parking schedule. It depends on how the collection planning goes. We also want to talk about potential fees for additional carts for someone who wants to have an additional cart, replacement carts for lost or stolen or damaged, or potential fees for damaged carts and so forth, because that's going to be an ongoing issue, is dealing with those carts. We also want to talk about the contractor itself needs 12 to up to maybe 24 months lead time in order to buy the truck and equipment. And right now, our current contract expires June 30th, 2025. So we just got to have a little over a year to have a contract in place and all this planning completed, including routes, communication, outreach to the public, and so forth. That needs to be done. Some of the next steps is basically what we're here for is talk to you. Shall we continue with the Casella contract, or and again, Pine Tree has been our contractor for 25 years, since 1999. Pine Tree, Casella, they're the same. Or do we put this out to proposal or bid? One thing to note is if we do a proposal bid, it's going to be an additional 6 to 8 weeks delay in developing that. And also to know that there's only 2 companies that do it, Casella and Waste Management. And I think at this point, because Waste Management does not have another community within the state of Maine. So there's about a dozen other communities that have all gone with Casella.
Excuse me, the next slide here talks about the implementation challenges. And as we proceed, we know that there will be others that we'll identify. We've been working to develop strategies to overcome these challenges. Casella has stated that approximately 90% of our streets have no challenges, but the 10% that do are significant primarily because we have one-ways, as it says up there, dead ends, but the multi-unit apartment buildings, we have a significant amount of multi-unit apartment buildings. So we are potentially, depending on who we go with the contractor, will go with what looks like a hybrid collection. So in the areas of the city that are more congested with multi-unit apartment buildings, there may be some sort of like a manual collection in those areas. So it's really important that we get the word out. John and I have talked about the various groups that we want to reach out to, Healthy Neighborhoods, Landlord Association. We want to do public hearings. There's Immigrant Resource Center of Maine, Maine Immigration and Refugee Services. We want to have neighborhood meetings as well as speak with the Transformation Action Group. So there will need to be a significant amount of education and outreach to our community, even within our own city, our internal city departments. When we were doing the project management plan, we looked at the telephone directory in all our departments, and we said, my word, most of these departments are going to be impacted in some fashion, that we're going to have to be, they'll be either helping us implement the plan, or they'll be impacted in some fashion. So we've already had one meeting with the Director of Marketing, Anja Morris. She'll take care of the communication element. It was a great meeting that we had with her. She will be using the social media, the city website, of course, and she'll be partnering with the vendor. So the vendor will be responsible as part of the contract to have a mailer that will go out like a postcard of some sort, educating. It will have to be obviously in the multiple languages. And also, when the collection cards go out, there'll be a baggie, and we'll have further information about how to put the card out and other information. So, because of this potentially having a hybrid system in some locations, one of our wish lists is to keep the collection routes the same for people. It's going to be a tough transition for people. If we can keep the collection routes the same, that would be great. But if we're going to do hybrid, the vendor may decide to do all of the multi-unit apartment buildings on the same day. So that will mix things up a little bit. The next slide shows some of the information that we have received from Casella. They have an awesome app. It's really cool. It has a recycling education component in it. It has all the more popular questions that people ask. It has a calendar of events. It tells people when, if we have a holiday, it tells them when their particular route will get collected. And you'll also notice that the flyer that they have there is graphic oriented, so it can be used for people with multiple different types of languages. And Anja Morris will also help us with that too. So we have decided, as I mentioned earlier, it's called automated side load, but we liked cart to curb. It's something simple. It really speaks what's going on, cart to curb.
So here's a map of the city with, showing the multifamily units we've plotted out there. They're color-coded. So just to give you an idea, the green is the 3 to 5 units, which is you can tell by the coloring, is the vast majority. The blue is 68. Magenta is 9 to 12, orange is 13 to 15, and red is 12 to 20. So there's only a couple red ones. But that gives you sort of a visual impact of where and how the units are multi-unit. So those areas in that downtown urban area where those multi-units is going to be the most difficult because there's on-street parking and lots of multi-units. And here's a little quick graphic of what it looks like today. Well, a few months ago when it was snow on the ground, but these are 2 multi-unit families that we took some pictures to give you a representation of the amount of trash that's generated from those kind of things. And here is a quick little diagram of, given the information that Casella has provided, of the layout of carts. The purpose of this slide is to show you that you start running out of streetscape or street frontage very quickly. And in the previous slide, one of those units had 19 barrels out there, and you can see 8 barrels take up most of the frontage of a typical downtown lot. So it's not going to work with automated silo with those multi-units. So that's an illustration to sort of bring that home. And I want to thank you.
Questions?
Questions, comments from the council? Councilor Harriman.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So going back a couple slides to that map of the multi-units.
Sure.
Is that just the multi-unit buildings that are currently getting their waste, they're currently on the city's waste contract?
That's currently on the city's waste
Okay.
program.
Okay.
And this is actually a little bit out of date because when this map was made, there's been, I don't know, maybe half a dozen or so more buildings that have been come onto the program. So it's growing.
Okay. And then my second question was, with the hybrid collection that you mentioned, will the people in the downtown area that are having the hand collection, will they be getting the same carts, or will they still be using their own bins?
We haven't quite decided. We're thinking they'll be getting the same kinds of carts. It's just their way of collecting those carts may be different than the robotic arm that you saw in the video.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Najin. Please continue, Councilor Najin.
One of the questions that I have, so it sounds like we have a pretty tight timeline here. Would Casella be amenable to looking at maybe a one-year extension of the current contract if we run out of time, for instance?
What they were talking about is extending the contract for 5 years with a one-year transition where they would do what they're doing now, and then in '26 starting the automatic side load, about this time of year, May-ish, late April, May, so that we're past the winter storms and those kinds of issues, and we can start rolling this out.
A question I have on the back of that, so we were looking at possibly bonding a considerable amount of money for the carts this year. I think there's two pieces there. One, could it be included in the contract? And then the second piece would be, if not, would there be a way to means test in order to, these carts have RFID chips, I believe, right? And so they actually track to a particular
Yes, they can.
residency,
That's the
and we could
technology
even
available.
get reports back on possibly pass-through recycling, maybe even. I don't know if that's possible, but as far as like soiled recycling, you could probably pin it down to like a neighborhood where there's some problems that people need to focus on, right? The point I'm trying to make on that, though, is instead of bonding a considerable amount of money or even including it in the contract, could we look at the possibility of people who have the means to buy their own carts and then just support, based on like maybe an income threshold or whether or not, simply because right now we don't provide bins for anybody.
Right.
And so I know that we want everybody to use the same bin, but I'm also mindful of the fact that there's a lot of expenses that the city is accumulating that people aren't happy about. So
Right.
just as a thought.
The machines have to be calibrated for a certain size card, so getting people to buy their own cards would result in a lot of random size cards, potentially not working with these.
My suggestion would be that they would buy them from Public Works.
Okay. I mean, that's a possibility. It depends on how you want to do that, or if you just, create a fee for the card if we're distributing it, as a way of, passing that on. There's a couple ways. Again, those details haven't figured out, and that's probably an item for future workshops and discussions with you to work that out. We're just trying to get, a little bit more high-level direction on going with this contract and providing you an update. The previous presentations were done with the previous council, so, again, this is, bring you all up to date.
I would like to add, too, our ideal is to have the vendor purchase and manage the carts. We simply do not have the staff to manage the carts. And with our round table discussion, the questionnaires that we sent to other municipalities, that is exactly the way they would go. They found that it was just way more work than what they thought it was going to be. Bangor, for example, they're in this 10 years, and they were getting 200 to 300 calls a day. And they're still getting a considerable amount of calls. It's a huge undertaking to manage these carts.
Just one other note that with the carts, they also had to maintain an inventory of replacement carts, replacement wheels, covers, and so forth. So every year they're buying replacements, and it's a lot of burden to put on it. It'd be better to put onto the contractor to be able to manage all of that.
Councilor Chittum?
Thank you. I'd like to go back up to 30,000 feet or so and talk about Casella Waste Management. And my question is, does not Eco-Maine also provide collection services?
Eco-Main's just a waste energy plant.
They don't have a collection facility.
That's for the communities that own them. It's just like the communities that own Maine Waste Energy.
Okay, all right. So then there are only two contractors that would be able to assume the role of collecting solid waste from
That's
Lewiston
correct.
I did
residents.
the research, yeah.
All right. I would prefer that we open the door, even though I think I heard you say that Waste Management has no communities in Maine.
None.
Recognizing that it may add 6 weeks, I think you said, or 8 weeks to the timeline, which already is short, I would not like us to be coerced, if you will, into continuing a long-term contract with Casella. I'd like to see us explore all the options. I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that, but my preference would be that we open this to as many vendors as possible.
I would like to add to that, too, that John spoke about 6 to 8 weeks to get it out to bid and maybe get that awarded, correct? Waste Management, they have been in previous bids for waste collection in the city. They're usually pretty close to twice as expensive as Casella, and also, there's something else about,
What's that?
there was something else about Waste Management. Oh, we've already mentioned they don't have any other accounts. There was something else, but I can
Okay.
tell you there
Their office
later.
is in Rochester, New Hampshire. So, you
No
know,
representatives,
with
yeah.
Casella, their Pine Tree is in Mechanic Falls. So and they also have another office in Scarborough. So they have local offices to service local communities, and Waste Management does not have that.
Okay. Does
And,
that,
and maybe the reason why would be more expensive is they don't know the community, so they're going to be investing a lot more time getting to know the streets and figuring out routes and so forth, so.
okay, those are all valid reasons, and I will take them under advisement. Is there any explanation why in past bids they have been 100%, 200%, the difference between the two?
That was brought up in our meeting with Waste Management, and they're scratching their heads. They can't figure out how where Casella gets their numbers. But as we mentioned, they've served us for 25 years, and the customer service that they provide has been excellent.
Okay. And does Casella know that the only other competition is twice as much as they are?
Yeah.
It's public information. We haven't shared that with them, but they could see the tab
Sure.
bids if they
Sure.
wanted to.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Counselor Gallant.
I'll be quick. With the apartments, have you all considered a larger dumpster type? I know that in other communities, they put a half dumpster in locations for large apartments. It makes it easier for the waste picker to go and just take two places. You don't eat up the whole street you've seen over there. They did have to eat up some parking spots in order to have it designated for that purpose. Might be something to consider as we go forward, and it doesn't look so sloppy on the street either.
Thank you.
Counselor Stoll.
Are both companies willing to do the hybrid? And when you say hybrid, you mean curb pickup as well as how we do it now for the more difficult streets?
It would be a combination of, and for the more manual, if you will, that would only be, like we had mentioned, in the congested area. It's really up to the vendor.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Casella has,
They both understand the challenges, for sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Casella has come up with some ideas that, again, nothing's definite, but when we had some meetings with them, and they've come up with some possible suggestions of dealing with that congestion.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot easier for them knowing those streets.
Definitely, yeah. It'll also be easier for the city to transition because they know the seats. I mean, if we get Waste Management, they're going to be learning, and so not only will we be transitioning to a new form of collection, we'll have a contract that's learning.
Well, I'd like to see us stay with Casella, so.
Counselor Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a bunch of questions, but I'll start off with what is the startup cost for each taxpayer or each household?
We haven't gotten that far with
Okay.
that number yet.
Okay. What happens if you fill up one can? Would we have to purchase more cans?
Right now, we're not solid on what we're going to be offering. We've talked about maybe 265, one recycle, one waste for a regular household. But again, looking at the questionnaires that we provide to other municipalities, there's many options that we can do for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unit apartment buildings. It may not be one each for every unit. It might, be a little bit different for a multi-unit apartment building. So.
Okay.
For the average household, the 65 is more than enough for a single family, but that's the size container that best works with these trucks. Other communities have tried smaller containers and found it was a disaster because those things slip and fall out of the car and they fall into the truck.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
Another question would be, after years of use, especially from the winter use, like I'm sure, the cold temperatures might break the cans and all that stuff. Is that something, are we going to charge the taxpayers again? Because we're already paying taxes for collection, correct? So again, putting more more money on the taxpayers, I don't.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One is, again, this is not an option. This is the way the industry's going. But yeah, these carts have a life expectancy to them, and I believe it was Bangor.
Was it 10 years, I think?
Bangor has, they're looking at having to replace theirs after 10 years.
Okay, and I'm worried, like, we're already paying taxes for trash pickup and all that stuff, and adding more expense to that, we just can't have that, so.
Understandable, very understandable.
Councilor Najin.
I just wanted to check on two things really quickly. Right now, our trash collection service, if you're a 4-unit or above, or a 3-unit or above, I believe, and you're not owner occupied, you buy into the services. It's like $175 per 6-month period or something of that nature.
$170 per unit per year. You can pay semi-annually, but,
Okay.
hasn't been changed since 2011.
So that may be something we want to look at. But also, I think that we would want to stay competitive with the private market as well in order to encourage people to go to our system. But there's a couple of pieces within that. So right now, our waste management system actually, how much does it cost us overall? Like, as far as when you put in the tipping fees, all of those other pieces together, like, is it net revenue loss, net revenue gain? Where are we at?
Right now, we're paying for collection of just trash and recycling around $960,000. That's just the collection. That's not the disposal. With the disposal, we have this ash for trash arrangement with Auburn Waste Energy. So with us taking revenue from the ash coming to the thing and our trash going to them, we have a net revenue of about $15,000 under the current contract.
10 to 15, okay. And so just one of my thought processes here is ultimately the way that we've slimmed down this program and allowed people to buy into it actually creates a net neutral cost for the city ultimately, because of the fact that we're filling up our landfill with 14 municipalities' trash. So two thoughts just real quick. One, and I know that nobody's ever a fan of it, but pay as you throw. I just want to say it. At the end of the day, if we're worried about tacking on cost to the city, it's always something we can look at. But two, I think that it's really important that we move forward with this program right here as quickly as we can, because it sounds like we're gonna run out of time if we don't make some decisions quickly.
Councilor Chittum, do you have something to add?
Thank you. I want to second Councilor Najin's mention of pay-as-you-throw. I want to also point out that the costs of solid waste collection will go down as the amount of solid waste goes down. So I'm wondering if there is any provision in this potential contract for consumer education to understand that if you buy properly and recycle and dispose of properly, your costs will go down. So that's a key part, and I think
Yes, it is.
We're hearing a lot of noise, particularly these days, about the tax base and the tax rate. One of the things that consumers in Lewiston can do to help lower their taxes is to reduce the amount of waste. I saw those pictures of the multiple trash bags at these multi-units. That's a lot of solid waste.
It is.
And I don't think there's any reason for it if people are educated and understand that throwing things away costs money and it costs the environment. So pay as you throw is one answer to that. Education is certainly another component, and I'd like to make certain that any agreement we have with a collections company has an education component in it. Thank you.
So yeah, that's going to be part of what Casella is offering. Is they have this app, they have these flyers. These will go out and be part of the information. They're going to be a partner with that education and outreach program. That Angie has worked with us on developing at least the skeleton idea of what that program's going to be. So yes, there's going to be a lot of education outreach, and hopefully get to improvement of recycling, and also the app will have a recycling component to it.
We're getting close on time here, but Councilor Harriman?
Really quickly, I know most municipalities who do pay-as-you-throw, there are special bags that people buy, and I know with this sort of system, the bags will be in the bin with the lid closed, so the driver can't see that. Is there any way that pay-as-you-throw can work with this kind of system? or
No, they don't work together.
Okay.
Councilor Najin?
The one last thing that I wanted to throw out with this is ultimately waste diversion saves our landfill over time, and so I'm partnering with Casella in order to have some really poignant pieces in order to be robust in the outreach, as opposed to in the past it hasn't always been robust. Like I think that would be good if it was in the contract somewhere that there was a stipulated amount of advertising that they would be doing with us, or partnerships with us around education, so that we can make sure that, you know, we're diverting as much waste as possible from
Yes.
from the landfill.
Councilor Chittum?
Very quickly, Mr. Mayor, pay-as-you-throw will work with a system like this as long as the material is weighed as it's dumped into the truck. And the systems are out there that will do that. There are systems also that will verify that material that's being recycled is in fact recyclable material. So the technology is there that will allow that. It may be expensive, but it's there.
Anything further?
I think we're all set. Thank you very
Thank
much
you very
again.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yes, we will take a very quick break, and then we will be back for our council meeting. Hello, and welcome to our Tuesday evening council meeting. We're going to kick things off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and there, way in the back, we have our former city administrator, Mr. Ed Barrett, who will lead us. Thank you very much, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett also serves on our, continues to serve the city on our library board as a trustee. Huge round of applause for Mr. Ed Barrett. We also, so it's not on the agenda, but we will be recognizing the Lewiston High School Top 10, and I will do that now. And if I can invite Payson to join me. There we go. Payson, come up here. Thank you for coming. So Payson, a lot of kids were busy with sports and other activities, and so Payson is our official representative from the Lewiston High School Top 10. And we have a proclamation that I will read. Recognizing the 2024 Lewiston High School Top 10, whereas the 2024 Lewiston High School Top 10 are a group of students who committed themselves to excellence, and they delivered, and whereas they have demonstrated perseverance and a can-do attitude that has indeed carried them far, and whereas at the recent Top 10 luncheon at the Green Ladle, they each shared how they have learned academically, learned about themselves, and learned how to stay the course amidst challenges, and whereas from handling stress to building self-confidence to staying motivated to speaking one's mind, and realizing it's okay to make a mistake and be human. Their testimonies underscored hard work and dedication, and whereas the importance of families, balancing perfectionism in a healthy way, knowing what inspires them, and extending kindness and empathy towards others were also priorities, and whereas each of these young people have unique skills, talents, personalities, and perspectives, and the sky is the limit for what they will accomplish, and whereas Badia Abdillahi, Natalie Bowden, Olivia Crowley, Payson Goyette, Alexa Landry, Sarah Mohammed, Corinne Rosario, Adam Tardif, Gabrielle Thomas, and Annie Zhao, you have done the city of Lewiston proud, Lewiston High School proud, your friends and family proud, and you have every right to be extremely proud of yourselves. And whereas we are excited about your future, and please remember that your hometown will be cheering you on. Now, therefore, I, Carl L. Shalene, Mayor of the City of Lewiston, do hereby officially commend the 2024 Lewiston High School Top 10 and applaud the role models that they are to all of us, reminding us to never give up on our goals and aspirations. A huge round of applause. We now have a Lewiston Youth Advisory Council update from Ava Golder. Please continue, Ava.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ava Golder. I am the chair of the Lewiston Youth Advisory Council, and I'm just going to give a little bit of an update on what we've been working on recently. As substance use disorder is a concern locally and nationwide, the Lewiston Youth Advisory Council recently did a lot of brainstorming as how we could really address that. On the heels of the DREAM project, where earlier this year we focused on goals and the aspirations of youth, we have been especially concerned about young people who use drugs, as well as adults, some of them being their parents. And we met with Ms. Ruscher, a forensic science teacher at LHS, who shared how substance chemically impact a person's brain specifically, and everything that they do. After hearing her, we thought it was important for more people to better understand what addiction does to a person and how it's not easy to just quit. So we also met with a local, Sean, who is going on 7 years in recovery, and he told us how drugs impacted his entire life. We learned that addiction doesn't just impact a person, but their ability to make wise decisions, function, and maintain relationships. After hearing from Sean, we knew we wanted to do something to help others learn about what we had. If we are going to support recovery in our community, LYAC believes that we need to really understand what people are going through. Now, we decided to host an informational gathering at Callahan Hall on April 22nd to focus on what substance use disorder really means, and we picked Sean as our guest speaker. We also had a panel of experts, Ms. Ruscher, as we stated before, LHS substance use counselor Lisa Escobar, Counselor Rinsol, who shared family perspective, and a registered nurse, Stephanie Harmon. We would also like to thank Mayor Shalene and other counselors who stopped by to that forum for your support, and we really appreciate that. And the audience, from what I've heard, was very engaged with that evening's program, and it ended with LYAC's Muno Hassan handing out recovery message posters to 4 audience members. And the Sun Journal gave us a great article the next day, so hopefully both attendees and Sun Journal readers learned more about this topic. And next, before our LYAC year ends in July, we are returning our focus to the DREAM project to serve as role models to Lewiston's elementary students. At our next meeting on May 22nd, we will be designing and framing oversized poster boards with positive messages for K through 6 students, and we hope to present them at individual school assemblies. And we will be also ordering some pencils. It's sort of just like uplifting messages and getting them through tough times, and sort of encouraging those elementary students that they can do whatever they put their mind to. And we are calling this outreach, as we said, You Can Be Anything. And we want to use our platform as an active youth council, active youth council members to further encourage Lewiston youth. Any questions?
Any questions from councilors?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, Ava. We appreciate your service to our city. And we have Dottie Parham-Whittier, longtime city employee. Please continue.
Thank you. I'm on. I'm pleased to be here this evening, and I've been looking forward to this all day. The front row of this room this evening has music professionals from the state of Maine who are going to be presenting this evening a gift to the city of Lewiston. There was a song that was written 20 years ago, and I'm not going to give all the details, called "Oh Lewiston." And the city became really familiar with it back around 2006, 2007, when we applied for the All-America City designation. And the composer, Con Fulham, said that we could use his song in our presentation that we did, and we won in 2007. So that's when we kind of became familiar with it. Well, last November, I got a call from Con. He was concerned about the city of Lewiston because obviously October 25th rocked this community like never before. And he said he'd been thinking about his song, and he wanted to offer the city of Lewiston a re-recording of the song, but with video and pictures. And he wanted to offer it to the city, excuse me, no cost whatsoever. And I checked with my supervisors, and they said, work with him and his team. And he has put together an unbelievable ensemble of Maine musicians and recording studio folks and engineers and people that do the mixing, all of that, and has done a re-recording. He offered us the opportunity to give photos and videos that depict what Lewiston is today. And he thought that after October 25th, that this would be a source of healing for our community. He's also put in there some guest appearances, offering some heart shows of love to the community. And I was fortunate enough to go to Portland and see the performers record. I'd never been in a recording studio before, which included Afra, a police officer from Lewiston. I was really excited about that. And it was amazing to see these people come together and love our city and record. You see it on TV with the headphones and the mics, and it was pretty impressive. But the love that you felt for Lewiston in that room was just amazing. So before we show the video, I'd like all of you to come up. that are in the row. Con, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can introduce folks and share your passion for this video and why you called on November 14th, and we'll go from there.
It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here. Long and short, I grew up in Waterville, which is sort of a twin city. So when I wrote this song, it wasn't really hard because it was sort of writing about my experience. And as they say, it takes a village to raise kids and so on. Well, it takes a bunch of wizards to produce what you're going to see. And here are the wizards. So this is the wizard of camera and video, the wizard of production, the wizard of production and mixing, the wizard of song, and the wizard of song. This is Denny Bro, which I'm sure a whole lot of you know. This is Reg Groff. This is Efra Becerra. This is Steve Drown and Jeannie Martin. So here we are. I guess we got to roll this thing, eh?
Okay, press the button here. All right. It's going to be up on the big screen.
I have to say it with me. It's been under there. I think it's cemented there now. Thank you.
Okay, anytime.
This town was built by the strength of a working hands. Our hearts and souls with a sacred plan to build a town that would always stand for harmony and home.
And it stood every test you could give a town. Through the long lean years when the mill shut down, it was built on faith, and in faith it found a way to carry on. Oh, Lewiston, we move like a mighty river, onward forever, with your shoulder to the storm. Oh, Lewiston, all your sons and daughters hold you in their hearts and are proud to call you home.
Its soul was formed by many faiths, without regard to creed or race. It's the love of all that makes this place all that it's become.
So here's to every one of you who carry on those dreams come true, of a place where everyone can do everything they can. Oh, Lewiston, we move like a mighty river, onward forever, with a shoulder to the storm. Oh, Lewiston, all your sons and daughters
Thank you so much.
That was beautiful.
Another huge round of applause. It was beautiful. Thank you. Administrator O'Malley, I believe we're ready to begin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the roll call will start with Ward 3 tonight.
Thank you. And I understand we have some minutes to accept.
Yes, the adoption of the May 7 minutes.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councilor Sol, seconded by Councilor Chittum. Administrator O'Malley, please call the vote.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6.
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. We are now up to public comment. Any member of the public may make comments regarding issues pertaining to Lewiston City Government. This period is reserved for non-agenda items. Public comment is also allowed during individual agenda items. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Please state your name for the record, and please indicate if you are a Lewiston resident. Because this is the business meeting of the Lewiston City Council, all questions should be directed to the mayor, who will ask staff to follow up at a future time. It is illegal for the City Council to allow comments related to personnel matters. All personnel complaints should be made directly to the City Administration Office. Please continue.
Ronnie Parity, Ward 6. I wanted to come here just to thank the city councilor, councilors for Martell School. It's down, it looks great, and it's ahead of time compared to what we thought. Now, if we can keep the timeline going so that we have new apartments by next year, anyway, I will welcome all your help. Anyway, I want to thank the city councilors for passing and thinking about seniors and everything. My other question is, all these years I've been coming here, I never knew how the city administrator was picked. And I'm asking, I think it was picked by the council itself, I'm asking you to have a different way. We did, I was on 2 superintendent searches. One was Lee Levesque and the other one was Bill Webster. And I would like to see representation from staff and Lewiston residents on the committee. And we usually had 13 to 15 on that committee, and everybody got input. It wasn't just the school board that did it. So I'm asking you to change how you pick out the city administrator coming up, because I never knew how it was done, and I've been coming to these meetings for 30 years, so I'm just asking you to think about how you're going to choose. And Mr. Mayor, please be the last one to talk and let the city councilors talk. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? As you know, I come as a representative for the National Saving Fatherhood Foundation. If you can
please introduce yourself, please.
Oh, my name is Alfred. I'm Ward 3, and representative for the National Saving Fatherhood Foundation. We have a big concern because we're getting people, when we went out in the community and talk to people and try to let them know about us, we get a lot of fathers asking us, why is it the city's not telling them about our services? And this has become a problem where I have one guy who's about to lose custody to his child. And he's been fighting for years, and he did not even know that we even existed. We've been, the 26th will be our 5th year anniversary in existence. The National Saving Fatherhood has been around for that long time. But we would like the city to please, if you guys know any fathers out there that's struggling, having child custody issues, child support finance issues, we can help them with those issues. And he said he went to the city once, and what happened was they told him to go to Safe Voices. Safe Voices is set not for fathers programs, specifically for fathers programs. We generally aimed at fathers that's dealing with fathers' issues with that. I also, lastly, before my time is up, I wanted to give City Council and the gift on behalf of the National Saving Fatherhood Foundation. Our book has came out, the Saving Fatherhood, Striving Out There. So I would like to be able to give you guys this gift and just leave it here with the administration and on behalf of us, let you know that we have it. They call it the Fatherhood Bible. So it deals with custody, financial issues, and so on and so forth. So I want to say thank you for this time. I appreciate. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the City Council, members of the public. My name is Zoe Lidstrom, and I'm a Lewiston resident. I'm also a member of the Lewiston Auburn Community Forest Board. And as you may know, it's Arbor Week, so it seemed like a good opportunity to kind of let folks know who we are and what we're up to. For those who don't know, this board is a volunteer organization. We're made up of individuals who live or work in Lewiston or Auburn, and our members include the city arborists of each city who serve as staff support. We've gotten a lot done since our establishment back in 2001. For instance, we got the Twin Cities jointly recognized in the Arbor Day Foundation's Tree City USA program, and this week we're being honored in Augusta for 21 years with that designation. In 2016, we established a tree nursery on North Auburn Road where we grow trees to plant around LA, and we've currently got about 150 trees in that nursery and have room for 100 or so more. We've proposed ordinances, hosted seminars, and created forest management plans in the area. Most of what we do is entirely volunteer or is funded via grants, including a recent partnership with Maine Audubon for improvements to our nursery. And other proposals we're currently working on are a grant to install a deer fence on the nursery and a grant to establish an arboretum in the Franklin pasture area of Lewiston. To celebrate Arbor Week this week, we've got a couple of events going on. One, we're launching a campaign called Notable Trees of LA, where folks can submit photos of their favorite trees around town. So to submit a photo, just look for Lewiston Auburn Community Forest Board on Facebook and Instagram, or you can email us at lacommunityforestboard@gmail.com. We're also screening a film put out by the American Chestnut Foundation entitled Clear Day Thunder, Rescuing the American Chestnut. You can come by the Senior Center at Pettingill Park in Auburn at 6 p.m. on Thursday to catch that movie, and we're working on it. I think we're going to have popcorn, so it should be good. I also want to mention that we're still filling positions for the board, so if you're interested in joining, talk to your city clerk for info on that. We also have a public comment period at the beginning of our meetings, so the public is always welcome to stop by. That's 6 p.m. on the third Thursday of every month at the Senior Center in Pettingill Park in Auburn. And lastly, I do have a few copies of our recently updated strategic plan. We updated that this year, and it's our strategic plan for the next 5 years. So I'm wondering if I might leave those copies with the administration in case any of the councilors or public are interested in checking that out. So thanks for your time.
Good evening, Bob McCarthy, Ward 2. I sat back and watched the budget process unfold over the last few months. I prayed that common sense would prevail, but my prayers went unanswered. From a taxpayer's standpoint, this council has failed miserably. In a normal budget cycle, a 10% increase would be out of the question. Considering that there are over 1,800 senior taxpayers that will get hit with a double whammy this year, 10% is ridiculous. You as councilors are tasked with creating a reasonable budget, balancing the needs of the citizens with the ability of the taxpayers to foot the bill. You best get your scale checked because the taxpayers were obviously on the short end of the budget. For example, adding staff while facing a large increase is unconscionable. If they were not needed before, they're not needed in these times. Also, there were no pushback to the school committee to limit their out-of-control spending. Some of you have been quiet on this budget, while others seem arrogant in justifying this spending. Councilor Harriman displayed his arrogance last night at the school committee meeting by pushing for the school committee to resubmit the school budget without any reduction. Shame on you for even considering that. That action would be another slap in the face to every taxpayer that is struggling to make ends meet. Not all of us have tenants to help pay our tax bill and then get to write it off on our income tax. Councilor Harriman insists that renters also pay property taxes. Let me put that into perspective. A 4-unit apartment building would pay about the same amount in taxes as a lot of single-family homes, but the burden is split 4 ways compared to a senior citizen who has to cover the whole amount. And those renters, if they have multiple children, put a far greater demand on city services. To top it off, if these are Section 8 apartments, they will see no increase in their rent, as their rent is based on their income. Most seniors just want to live out their days in the homes that they've spent a lifetime living in and raising their families. This mill increase, coupled with the elimination of the tax freeze and the upcoming reevaluation, will make doing so difficult at best and impossible for many. I'm a 5th-generation resident, and this budget makes my days here numbered. This 10% mill increase does not pass the straight face test, and this council needs to reopen this budget and make some significant cuts. The city of Lewiston is not a rich community. We have 2 of the poorest census in the country. We have over 20%, between 20 and 25% of the property is nonprofit, tax exempt. So that leaves the burden to fall on the single-family homeowners for the most part. And it's a burden that needs to be lightened. This 10% is ridiculous. Thank you.
Luke Jensen, Ward 5, 11 Sylvan Avenue. You guys recently met and discussed the library budget during your budget talks, and the next morning, yourself, Mr. Mayor, sent an email out to your fellow members of the Board of Trustees at the library. I just want to read part of it. At the end, you said some additional thoughts. Let's see, one counselor said the library wasn't open when he could visit. I replied that the library has online services that are available at any time. I didn't mention that there are many public institutions for which we all pay that we might not use. Take the county jail, for instance. You should not be comparing the library to the county jail. 2, many counselors said that they were changing their mind because of constituents' outreach. While that's great, it's a shame that they had to be reminded of the value of the library. It would be wonderful if we could get the council to a place where they themselves possessed a sense of worth for the library. You are their leader. That is incredibly insulting to everyone on that dais with you. They care about the library. If you wanted to have a say in the library, you should have run for city council and not mayor. And 3, the library is seen as a luxury, extra, or simply not needed. You'll notice from the meeting that no counselor talked about the intrinsic value of the library or why it makes a difference in our community. Contrast that with how they talk about the fire or police departments. We need to get city administration, residents, apparently like myself, and the council to realize that the library is just as important as the police department. This will take time and constant effort. The library is not as important as the police department or fire departments. When there's an emergency at the library, they call the police department, they call the fire department. There's no emergency in the fire and police sides where they call a librarian to come help them. I've been going to the library since before I could even walk, 20 years before you even moved to the city. People like me, residents, we care about the library. We understand that emergency services have a priority over that, and it's incredibly insulting to imply otherwise. And it just seemed like a lot of shenanigans going on at the library board. You're not supporting the director as much as you guys should. You're appointing people that really are unqualified. You appointed someone who's lived in Lewiston less than a year, someone who people that I've talked to have described as your girlfriend. You've also used your role as mayor, and there are articles in the Sun Journal that back this up, using your role as mayor to help this person at events for her workplace, which she works for MERS, so has a relationship with the city, so you're putting that relationship entirely in jeopardy. You're putting your romantic interest before the interests of the people of Lewiston. You're putting all your focus into things that don't require the focus. You know, I work for the school department, and there are security issues in the school department too. I wish you would put some focus on things like that. At the end of the day, taxes are very high in Lewiston, and people in the suburbs are not getting much for their taxes. They get trash pickup, plowing, and a lot of the plowing isn't always done great because the roads are not quite fixed, and the plowing it can't be perfect. And so what are they paying for? They're getting a 10% tax increase, and what are they getting out of that? You should be using your time as mayor to advocate to Augusta and explain to the taxpayers that the big tax increase is not because we're doing things bad in Lewiston. It's because of unfunded mandates, unfunded mandates, unfunded mandates. Put Lewiston before yourself. Please open an investigation, guys. This is moral turpitude.
Hi there. I'm Janet McCarthy, Ward 3. Oh, 2. I'm sorry, Ward 2.
I got confused. I will tell you, my husband does a much better job than I do. He writes his speech. I say mine from the heart. I'm not up here to congratulate any of you, because I don't think you deserve a congratulations for anything. What you did with Martell School was throw more money at something that we told we weren't going to give them more money. So congratulations for spending more of my money. I appreciate that. So what I am up here to say is I am sad, I am disappointed, I am discouraged that this city council couldn't put a little bit more effort into cutting things off that budget so that we wouldn't have this kind of an increase. My mother-in-law is 93 years old and lives in her own home. And her taxes will probably double after the assessment and the fact that she's no longer getting her senior discount because of the state eliminating that, and with this extreme increase in our taxes that you're doing. So again, no congratulations, because you don't deserve it. I'd like to actually call you out each by name and tell you how I feel about you, but I'm not going to do that. I might at a future meeting, though, so prepare yourselves. I think you need to open the conversation again on the budget. I think that you could eliminate, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person who feels this, the bathrooms that you're planning on putting in downtown Lewiston, because I'll be honest with you, I think all those are going to be is destroyed, defecated, not even in the toilet, used to shoot up drugs. I, as a citizen, would never consider using one of those bathrooms for fear that I would be attacked or harmed by somebody downtown. So it makes no sense. You just want to bring more homeless people here and have, maybe they can start living in these bathrooms. It just doesn't make any sense. And a person at $80,000 something a year to clean them, that person is going to quit after 3 weeks. He's going to have to wear a hazmat suit to go into those bathrooms to clean them. So put some thought into some of these things. Let's do something that makes sense. Also, no new positions should be added at this time. If you've got that much that needs to be done, that's not where the money should be spent. I guess my time is done, but I am not done. Be warned.
Further public comment? Administrator O'Malley, I believe we have a consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have 2 items on the consent agenda, the traffic schedule amendment on Walnut Street and the continuation of public hearing for Continental Mill TIF.
May I have a motion, please?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, the traffic amendment on Walnut Street is the consent agenda?
Correct.
Yes, it is.
I'd like to remove that from the consent agenda, please.
We will remove it. So now we have just the continuation of the public hearing regarding the tax increment finance district proposed for the Continental Mill property. May I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Chittum, followed by Councilor Gallant. Please call the vote.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
And we are now up to item number 1.
We're going to take item number 1. Amendment to the traffic schedule to add time-regulated 15-minute parking from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on both sides of Walnut Street between the intersection of Pierce Street and Bartlett Street. Requested action to approve the amendments to sections 21 and 23 of the traffic schedule to add time-regulated 15-minute parking from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on both sides of Walnut Street from the intersection of Pierce Street to Bartlett Street.
So moved.
Councilor Harriman.
Second.
Second by Councilor Chittum. Discussion. Councilor Chittum.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have spoken with several people who own property on Walnut Street, and this is going to have a ripple effect. I have a number of questions that I think should be answered before we act on this, one of which is the apparent purpose of this change from all-day parking to 15-minute parking for 12 parking spaces between Bartlett and Pierce Street on Walnut is to address a problem created by drug trafficking and loitering. It seems to me that addressing those problems through parking ordinance is misdirected. And if we've got a problem with drug trafficking and loitering, we should be addressing the problem directly instead of trying to tell people that they can't park there. There are residents who use these parking spaces who are going to be disadvantaged by converting them all to 15-minute parking. And I am curious about who is going to enforce the 15-minute parking in this relatively remote section of downtown. I'm not aware that there is a parking, and I'm simply not aware that there's a parking enforcement situation between Pierce and Bartlett on Walnut Street. Thank you.
Councilor Najin.
One of the things that stood out to me on this proposal is it definitely reminded me of what Susan Bergeron had put forward when she was running for her position. There's a couple of pieces that I'm concerned about. One, I think the parking meters in and of themselves are, I mean, like, I'm not quite sure where we...
I can't hear you either.
Sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm concerned that the parking meters in and of themselves are not necessarily easily replaceable. I think at this point, most of them are pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you have to get the parts on eBay, I think. they're not like in regular circulation. And a larger problem overall is if we're going to do parking enforcement in front of Poiriers, but we're not going to support the downtown businesses around their parking pieces, that's concerning to me. But other than that, I think there are pieces here that are valid. I don't know if it requires 12 spots because there are residents that live in that neighborhood who do not have off-street parking. So,
Councilor Glant.
Thank you, Mayor. I too have a concern in a couple of different areas with this particular item, and I feel it needs to be, for lack of better words, better shopsmiths or sat down and get a better view from the public. I know that the administrator and the police and people all signed off, but I don't feel comfortable with the situation that we ought to have some kind of workshop to explain how it's going to look in a pictured board up here that we could see what's going on. And I don't think, again, it's fair to all the places, Ward's Market, all the markets down there who don't have private parking in front of their facility to allow things to move around. So that's my thought.
Councilor Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would agree with the other councilors on this. I think we need more time on this. I'm not in favor of it.
Councilor Harriman.
Thank you. I was just going to mention that Poiriers doesn't have any private parking, so the customers do need to use the street parking if they are arriving by vehicle. I am fairly familiar with this area. I walk by there most every day. I have noticed an issue with people just congregating, and they're there when I walk by. I come back 3 hours later, they're still there in the same place. The car is in the same place, and I can sympathize with the business owner with the concerns that they've brought forward. I've noticed that otherwise the parking isn't particularly heavily used. There on that particular block, there's Poiriers. There's a building next to Poiriers which has a few apartments in it, and then I believe the only other building that's occupied residentially is on the corner with Bartlett Street, and it doesn't seem like the parking on the street is overly congested and that there isn't that much available. So I'd be amenable to trying this out to see if it alleviates the concerns that the business owner has.
Councilor Soul.
Would we be able to, would this have to be voted down to bring it back as a workshop? How
Well,
would
we
that
could
work?
certainly table it.
Oh, yeah. Well, can I make a motion to do that? Is that,
Yeah.
Time
yeah,
for that?
You're welcome to make a motion at any time.
because I would like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Counselor Chittum has seconded the motion. Comments from the council on the motion to table?
Mr. Mayor, we really should table to a time certain or to a set of conditions that have been met, rather than simply a blanket tabling. That's effectively the same as a motion to kill.
it.
That's not the parliamentary term, but it's a motion to get rid of it. And so we need to table to a specific time or until a certain set of conditions have been met.
Administrator O'Malley, how much time do you think would be necessary to bring this back?
Are you saying that you want, I mean, no one from the police department is here tonight because it was on the consent agenda. I believe that's why no one showed up. I mean, I could have them come to our next meeting on June 4th, but if you want to have a workshop before then, would have to we have the election on the 11th, and then we have the 18th, so I could maybe have them do a workshop before the meeting of the 4th, if that's what you want to do. If we want, this was approached, the owner of Poiriers had approached the police department, is my understanding, asking for this because of the situation that Councilor Harriman describes. It's not customers that are parking in front of his business, it's folks that are just kind of hanging out, and that was why they asked for those spots. But I can get the police department here to kind of better explain that to all of you. So we could move it, if you want to table it to the 4th, and then we could have them come back on the 4th. And I'll make sure someone from the police department is here.
Counselor Sol and Counselor Chittum, are you okay adding that as a friendly amendment to your motion?
Yes.
So the motion on
Yes.
the... I'm now being told by my finance director that I have 2 workshops on that day, so would you be amenable to having them just come in and speak before you have a vote on that, or do you feel like you need to have a workshop on this? I could just have them come in and make, because right now, nobody presented this to you because nobody was here.
Right. I mean, I would be.
If I could be recognized, please.
Yeah, one second, Counselor. I'm sorry. Please continue, Administrator.
So do you feel like you need a workshop, or I can just have somebody here on the 4th, and we can have it as an agenda item, and they can discuss it and answer any questions at that time? Unless you want to have a workshop, then I'll have to schedule it for another day.
Okay. Thank you. Counselor Nagy?
We've requested a few times a workshop with the police department, and so I guess the question is, when is that workshop? And could we make that contingent to the date certain?
Sitting here right now, I can't give you that date.
Okay.
There's some issues with getting the folks from the police department here, so I want to make sure I have an actual date before I commit to that.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, at this point, I would propose to the council to let Administrator O'Malley check in with the police department, check in with the owner, and then get back to us as to when this could be brought forward either as a workshop or back on the agenda. Counselor Sol?
I'm okay with them just coming in before we vote. I'm not necessarily have to have a workshop, so if everyone's okay with that.
If everybody's comfortable with that, why don't we have the motion to June 4th, and I'll have them here on the 4th, and we'll have it as an agenda item. And then Councilor Najin, at that time, I'll get some more definite dates of when they're going to come in workshop.
Are we comfortable with June 4th, councilors?
That's the motion on the floor, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Further comments? Please call the vote.
Okay, Ward 3?
Yes.
And this is the motion to table this until June 4th?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We'll continue that to June 4th.
Excellent. Item number 3.
Item number 3, public hearing and adoption order approving outdoor entertainment permits for various summer community events. Requested action is to conduct a public hearing on applications for outdoor entertainment event permits and to adopt the order approving outdoor entertainment event permits for various summer community events.
I have a motion, please.
So moved.
Counselor Chittum.
Second.
Second by Counselor Harriman. Discussion. Counselor Chittum.
Are we going to take one motion, one action on all 5 of these applications? Is that the intent?
That is the way the agenda item is written up, and we've done that before for the other outdoor entertainment permits that have been presented to you. We
Okay,
we do them, the clerk's office will submit them in blocks as we get those, so we don't do this every meeting.
And so, in other words, the public hearing is going to be on any one of these 5 at once?
That is correct.
Okay, I have no problem with that. I do have a couple of questions. Notably, the Great Falls thank you. The Great Falls Brew Fest indicates on page 1 that it's going to have 2 sessions, general and VIP. And I can find nowhere in the application what distinguishes a general session and a VIP session.
I can tell
That
you all
would be the
about
dollar
it.
amount of the tickets, Councilor Chittum. It's my understanding, if you have a VIP, you get, I think, an early entrance, and you might get more of the drink, the flight, than you do for the general. Thank you,
Sign me
Councilor.
up. All right, thank you for explaining that. It wasn't explained in the application. Thank you.
Further comments on this item? Public comment for this agenda item? Back to the council. Councilor Najin.
I would just like to say I'm pretty excited for all of these events, and I'm glad to see that they're continuing on in our community, so, as well as a new one. So, I'm in support.
Yep, can't wait for summer. Councilor Chittum, did you have something else?
Thank you. Yes, there's a lot of material here. I'm very much in favor of all of these. However, I do wish that we would update our application forms. We're still referring people to our recently retired Janet Labby.
That was changed 2 days ago.
Okay,
That's
thank
correct.
you. You're, as always, Mr. Administrator, you're one step ahead of the game. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Councilor Chittum.
And I'm flipping through here frantically. Do other councilors have questions to see what my notes are?
We will come back to you then, Councilor Chittum.
Thank you.
Or not? Do you have something else?
I did find a note.
Please continue.
Thank you. And this is in the application for the city that carries us. June 19th, Wednesday, Kennedy Park. There are 2 parade routes shown on the maps in this application, and I'm curious about what those parades are. One is from the Public Theater to Kennedy Park, and the other is from the B Street Health Center to Kennedy Park. And I don't understand what they are.
That was, they submitted 2 of those, the routes. We've since met with them, and their plan is to walk from the Public Theater and come up through Bay Street, then come into Kennedy Park. It's very similar to what Tree Street does when they just have the kids march from Tree Street down to Samart Payne Park. So we don't anticipate blocking off any roads or anything like that. There's just going to be a small gathering of the folks gather at the theater and then come over to Kennedy Park.
So no marching bands, no tubas?
No,
Okay.
no, not in that traditional sense of parade.
All right,
Councilor Chittum.
thank you.
Councilor Harriman.
Thank you. I see there's a representative from this organization here who might want to speak to this.
Please.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Noah Bragg. I'm one of the directors of Main Inside Out. We're one of the organizations that is hosting the event. Yeah, just wanted to echo that on the route. We will have a small band that's playing, like a 4-piece marching band that's playing. So just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. Further comments from the council? Administrator O'Malley, have we, there's a lot going on up here. Have we been to public comment for this
Yes, we
agenda?
did.
Yeah, excellent.
Went to
Okay.
public comment, it closed.
And I guess please call the vote.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item number 4, please.
Subject, resolve making appropriation for the water, sewer, and stormwater budgets for fiscal year 2025. Requested action is to approve the resolve making appropriation for the water, sewer, and stormwater budgets for fiscal year 2025.
May I have a motion, please? So moved. Councilor Sol,
Second.
second by Councilor Chittum. Discussion. Councilor Chittum.
Thank you. Director Roy, the numbers that are included in the City Council resolve are, for each of the enterprise funds, $17,500 more than was listed in the initial fund budget document. Can you explain, refresh my memory as to what that is?
Correct. So tonight I passed to you updated pages 81 to 95 numbers, and you'll see a highlighted number on like the third page of each one. That was the additional $17,500 for the project management software that is split between Public Works, water, sewer, and stormwater. So that was added into that budget. That is the only change from when you got the original budget book.
Thank you. I do remember that now. Thanks for refreshing my memory. There's been a lot going on, and thanks for bringing that up. That's a four-way split, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
1/4 goes into the general fund, and 1/4 each into the 3 enterprise funds.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilor Harriman.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out to the viewing public that these 3 funds are, these aren't tied to property taxes or to the tax rate. So these are, for water and sewer, the costs are borne by those ratepayers, and stormwater, I believe everyone pays into that at different rates depending on impervious surfaces. So just wanted to mention that it's not tied to the property tax rate.
Public comment on this agenda item. Back to the council. Please call the vote.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 5.
Order clarifying the action taken by the City Council at October 3rd, 2023 meeting to establish the Lowell Street Tax Increment Finding District and Credit Enhancement Agreement with Aegean Development LLC was by intent the development program for the TIF district. All right, the requested action to improve the order clarifying that the action taken by the City Council at October 3rd, 2023 meeting to establish the Lowell Street Omnibus Tax Increment Financing District and Credit Enhancement Agreement with Aegean Development LLC was by intent the development program for the TIF district. And I have Director Jeffers here to explain everything I just read to all you folks.
May I have a motion first, please? Councilor Chittum. Second by Councilor Gallant. Director Jeffers, please kick us off.
I will tell you, I'd like to keep this very simple for something that's basically a semantic problem, that when the orders were written for the council to take action on it, it referenced credit enhancement agreements. When the state was reviewing our application, they said you can't approve credit enhancement agreements. It needs to be called a development program. That's what I'm asking you to do, is to say, yes, that action was indeed a credit enhancement agreement. The credit enhancement agreements outline all the things that go into a development program. The term, the amounts of reimbursements, the things where the monies will be spent. In a nutshell, that was it.
Thank you. Councilor Chittum.
Thank you. I understand that the wrong words were used in some documents that the City Council approved in October of last year. And I have no problem with correcting those improper words if the bureaucrats in Augusta feel that they need to be corrected. I do have a problem, however, asking this council to interpret the intent of the council last year. We can't do that. Is there a time sensitivity to this, Director Jeffers?
They have been asking for it, and I said, look, we'll have it in front of the council in June. We've got to get through the budget season, in May. We had to get through the budget season, and so they're poised to take action on this.
I liked your June answer.
What day of the week is it?
I don't want to hold this up,
Yeah.
but I do seriously have a problem with asking this council, which was not present on October 3rd last year, to interpret the intent of what that council was doing. If this is simply a correction of language in a document, that's very straightforward, and I support that. But I am going to vote no because I am uncertain, I don't know, and I have no way of interpreting the intent of last year's council.
Counselor Sol.
We have two counselors from that council in the room. We could ask them, right? I mean, if we're looking for what they were doing, what they meant they were doing.
Yes, we
That
we can.
coming from them?
One of them could speak now, and the other one could speak during public comment, and I was there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything further at this time,
That
Ms.
is
Sol,
it.
or Councilor Sol? Further comments from the council? Councilor Najin.
I was actually here during that period, and I was on the planning board as well. I have a good idea of the intent. Quick question: does this change? Does the wording change anything about the tax sheltering property around the 1.5 million?
This is literally changing credit enhancement to a development program. That's
Okay.
it. The rest of it, if my language, I struggled to write this thing, thinking this is such a simple thing to do. And so it was longer than it needed to be in my memo and tonight. So it really is, to your first point, Councilor Chittum, it is changing the words credit enhancement to development program.
I would suggest that it would behoove us not to look like we are flip-flopping on supporting something that is an economic development opportunity in our city that will actually produce revenues.
Yes, I agree. I think, I know what we were trying to do at the time was to spur economic development here in Lewiston, and that hasn't changed. Councilor Harriman.
Thank you. Yeah, as far as intent, I was under the impression that we were creating the district and the program, and in order to encourage development in that area, including, I believe it was over 300 units of housing in a couple buildings that have been proposed. So I'd be totally for this. I think it's definitely needed for the city and for that neighborhood.
Further comments from Councilor Chittum.
Yes, I sincerely hope this passes, but I stand firm on my inability to interpret the intent of a prior council.
Public comment for this agenda item.
Matt Roy, Ward 3, Mr. Mayor. To Councilor Chittum's point, he doesn't need to interpret the opinion or intent of the previous council. Earlier tonight, and at the last regular meeting on May 7th, you've continued a public hearing on a TIF and development program. You're just being consistent. It's just consistency with a technical error that was made back in the resolve last year. May 7th, and then 15 minutes ago, you've actually already interpreted that intent to be consistent with the bureaucrats, as one of the councilors stated, with state law statute that governs TIF districts in the state of Maine. Thank you.
Bob McCarthy, Ward 2. I was on the council when this came before us, and like Councilor Harriman said, the council was all for this. This is just a miswording of the document, and all you're doing is correcting the document. You're not changing the thought process behind it or the results of the document, and I wholeheartedly support you guys passing this. Thank you.
Further public comment? Back to the council. Councilor Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for everybody who spoke up about this. This makes my vote a little bit more confident in this. So thank you.
Director Jeffers, do you mind coming back up? I mean, in essence, we're basically fixing a typo. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, it's more than a typo, but yes. I mean, it's a technical phrase that, in my mind, they're one and the same as far as the state's concerned, a credit enhancement agreement, even though it defines what the credit enhancement will be, or excuse me, what the development program is. They said it's got to say development program, not credit enhancement agreement. That's all we're asking you to do.
Gotcha. Thank you. Councilor Chittum.
Yes, not to beat a dead horse here, but the order states clarifying that the action taken by the City Council at their October 3rd, 2023 meeting was by intent and action. That's what we're asking to resolve here. If we had been asked to change the language, I would be all for it, and I am all for the concept. But I cannot vote for a council order that says we are clarifying the council's intent. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. Please, everyone else vote for this, but I can't. The wording in the order is improper.
Further comments from the council? Minister O'Malley, please call the vote.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
You know what my vote is.
I
No.
need you to say it. Thank you.
No.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1.
Item number 7. No, wait. Six.
Item number 6, Mr.
My
Mayor.
apologies, 6.
There's a resolve supporting the Lewiston Public Library Trustees Capital Campaign. The requested action to approve the resolve supporting the Lewiston Public Library Trustees Capital Campaign.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Chittum, seconded by Councilor Gallant. Mr. Barrett, do you mind just joining us here at the front? Oh, no, can you come and join Director Houston? Yes.
Okay.
Come on down.
We have an extra chair for you. If you two can please introduce yourselves and then please proceed.
Joey Houston, Library Director.
Ed Barrett, member of the Library Board of Trustees. Okay, I think what we're here asking for is pretty simple, and it's laid out pretty well in documentation. We're first looking for a general endorsement of our capital campaign, building on the $153,000 that a prior council made available for the project, and then some specific things to make sure that we're all on the same page as we go forward. One is an authorization for the library and other city staff to assist in the campaign. The Library Board of Trustees is authorized by ordinance to raise funds, but we're not necessarily authorized to look at the library director and say, help us. So we need your authorization for that. And recognizing at the same time that any activities by city staff has to comply with the city's code of ethics. So, for example, we wouldn't ask Joey to go out and talk to a vendor who services the library and say, we want money. That would create a potential conflict. So we would certainly avoid that. We would are also asking that you accept and appropriate any grants that we receive. We are exploring a number of grant opportunities to help the campaign. And we would just like to simplify the process so we don't have to come back to the council every time we want to submit a grant, as long as it's in line with what we're looking to raise the money for. Then authorizing the use of the funds previously appropriated by the council to match other grants and to assist us with some of the logistic costs with running a campaign. We do need your permission to use the city's funds as matching for other contributions or grants. And we have been upfronting the costs of the campaign so far out of the endowment. We obviously would like to raise enough money to both accomplish our purpose, which is to renovate the children's department, to do additional outreach to the community to attract additional children and families to the facility, and to establish an endowment for the future for children's programming and materials. So I think with your support, that would certainly be helpful to us as we go forward. It always helps if we can say that the city council's 100% behind this. And I expect at some point you may see a pledge card show up in the mail to further help us with the project. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. We are looking to really kick things off this fall. We had wanted to do it last year in the early winter. That clearly was a bad time where the community was focused on other needs and other crises. So we are looking at kicking this off in the fall, running for 12 to 18 months, and hopefully get a much better children's department out of it, because believe me, that's where I started my education, was in the public library in, of all places, Cleveland, Ohio. And has certainly made a big difference in my life, and I know it can make a big difference in all of the children and families in Lewiston.
This is an exciting project, and I appreciate you both being here. Thank you. Councilor Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you both for speaking tonight. One of the questions I want to ask is that $153,835, that was already promised to you? That's not
Correct.
coming out of this budget, it was already set
That
aside
was,
for you?
several years ago, was appropriated, I believe, out of fund balance,
Okay.
correct?
All right. That's what I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Councilor Chittum.
Thank you. I am very much in favor of this project. I have to go back in my memory and remember when Susan Pease was the children's librarian, there was a mouse hole in the original library. Story time was there, and we had many, many enjoyable afternoons in that tiny, cramped, ADA inaccessible area. The children's area has come a long way. It sees a lot of use now, and I fully support its expansion and improvement. Thank you.
Councilor Najin.
I too support this initiative. One of the things that I had done recently is I had emailed Assessor Healy, because I'm aware of the fact that my home is one of the undervalued homes in the city, asking if he could adjust my tax rate. Of course, it's illegal. So I would be happy to make a donation, payment in lieu of taxes to support the library's campaign this fall and in the spring and until the valuations are complete. I think the work that y'all do are wonderful. I think the libraries are a very important cultural aspect to our city, and unlike what may have been shared earlier, I mean, the Maine State Library has online services. I'm a member of North Conway's public library because they have Overdrive and WorldCat as opposed to Minerva. I know how to use online services. I would prefer to be able to go into a library. Definitely supporting this. Thank you.
Yeah, one quote that struck me that I ran across is that of all of the places in town, the public library is the one place that you can go where you don't have to pay to go in, and nobody's after you to buy something. So I think it's really an amenity that's available to everyone, and we certainly want to do everything we can to make it more attractive, particularly I think to children's and families, because that it becomes a foundation for their future success, their success in education and their success in life.
Public comment for this agenda item.
I'd just like to say that my name is Alfred first, again, but the Maine and Lewiston's public library is very pinnacle here. When I first came to Lewiston, I was homeless and on the street, and I was getting on my feet, but I was also still trying to run my business. So what happened was the Lewiston Library allowed me as an up-and-coming businessman to utilize those resources to keep my business afloat and keep the organization going. So if there's any way that the city can put more funding into the library, like maybe have a special event or something for first-time library card, because my daughter, when she came to Maine, first thing she did is we took pictures with the librarian, and she got her first library card, and it was something spectacular. And I can't say I appreciate everything that they have there. They also allow us as an author, our book is now in the library. That book is actually, believe it or not, it has saved about 16 people have come back and said, it's changed their lives. And that's because the library is giving resources where there was none. So I definitely would support this agenda. Please, if you can, find me. If you can scrape up, I would donate myself. I will even talk to our board of directors to try to figure out if we can make a donation, financial donation to the libraries ourselves. But we I really do want to plead for a little bit more to pushed into our library. That library has saved some lives, you know, and give wisdom where there was no wisdom. Thank you.
Further public comment? Back to the council. Councilor Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I didn't say this before, but when Councilor Chittum was talking, I had a tour of the library. It was a great tour. A lot of the older parts of the library brought back a lot of really special memories. So, yeah, I'm in favor of this too. So,
Further comments from the council? Thank you for working on this, Ed. We really appreciate that.
Again, in advance, I'll thank you very much for your support, both through the budget process and obviously through the campaign in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, Director Houston, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Administrator O'Malley, please call the vote.
Council from Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Now we are up to item number 7.
Yes, we are. Order authorizing the acceptance of Chase Lane as a public street. Requested action to approve the order authorizing the acceptance of Chase Lane as a public street.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councilor Chittum.
Second.
Second by Councilor Najin. Director Gagne, please kick us off.
Good evening. City Engineer Jeff Bully wasn't able to be here, so I want to bring this for you. This is a multi-phase project. The street that is being in front of you, portion to be accepted, is the part that is complete. We do have funds secured for final pavement. The developer is working on a phase 2, having third-party inspections, completing some of those projects. So this is phase 1 of 2, if not possibly 3 phases of this subdivision. I did check it out this afternoon. So there was one house that's currently built. This section of street would allow, if approved, would allow this lot to be sold. Utilities are there as far as water. There's septic on site. There's some street lighting, but it's a small, nice neighborhood subdivision. The money towards this house being sold, the developer is looking to put that towards securing for the phase 2 funds for pavement. So if you have any questions, I'll be here to help.
Councilor Chittum.
Thank you. Has the road been built to city specifications at this point? I thought I heard you say that the funding for final pavement has been secured.
It has been built to city standards with the final surface anticipated. So that's what the money set aside right now is for a final surface to make sure that that's completed. And if they default on that, then we have the funds to go in and put surface into this section but right now everything is in this phase is up to binder, storm drain, and third-party inspection has been done. It's ready for acceptance in this section.
But for the surface course, the surface wearing course on the road?
Correct.
Is that money, when you say the money is secured,
It's in our hands as a bond. It's actually a cash set aside. So if they default and don't do surface, we have enough funds to surface this section of roadway.
at no cost to the taxpayer?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And that money is absolutely secure?
Correct.
Do you have a schedule for when the wearing course will be applied?
I do not have that. I have not been briefed on that by the city engineer. But we can get back to you on a schedule. I would expect I can get back to you. I would hope this year.
Is there a time criticality? I think I heard you say that the money, no, I'm not sure. What is the time schedule? Why is there a time crunch on it? And why is this before us now rather than after the surface course has been applied?
So this section, this whole development, the owner passed away. So the ownership transferred into the new owner. They're also phase 2, I believe they're looking to go back to planning board because they're looking to have expiration of the 5 years to be able to build it. So there's just a lot of moving parts, and the new owner is trying to leverage some cash to be able to go to the next phase. So,
And the cash that he's trying to leverage results from the sale of a home that cannot be sold until the street is accepted?
correct.
Thank you.
Councilor Nagy.
First, I'm glad to see this project back up. We definitely need all sorts of housing in our community, including ones that add to the tax base, specifically and especially. Going forward, and something to just consider is when we take over HOA roads, we're stuck with the maintenance forever. And so at some point in time, and I'm not saying it's going to be this project here, I don't want to stop anything on this, but we should be considering whether or not we could ask for stewardship funds when we take over an HOA road to become now a city plowed road. I think about certain roads in our community where they're 1.5 miles long and have 7 homes on them, and they're almost in green. And in cases like that, when we're plowing them 3 times in a snowstorm, and then paving all of the other pieces, I mean, it would be nice to be able to set aside, let's say, $3,000 or $5,000 per home when we took over that road, to sit in a fund that we could then use when it needs to be repaved, or at least to try to help offset some of that cost. Just as a thought, but yeah, I'm in favor of this.
Councilor Harriman.
Thank you. I'm just curious, you said septic is on site. Do you mean that the septic mains are there, or they're having like a septic
No
system?
public sewer in the subdivision. Public sewer does not go out to the intersection with this neighborhood, so these are septic on lots for each home.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Public comment for this agenda item. Back to the council. Administrator O'Malley, please call the vote.
Counsel from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item number 8.
Item number 8, order authorizing execution of waiver of foreclosure form on certain distressed structures located on leased land. Requested action to approve the order authorizing execution of waiver of foreclosure form on certain distressed structures located on leased land.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councilor Chittum.
Second.
Second by Councilor Harriman. Discussion. Councilor Sol.
I have one question about, I know part of the reason for doing this is so that if buildings need to be torn down or anything needs to be done to them, who will be responsible for removing any of those buildings?
So due to the waiver, we would not be foreclosing on them. That's why this is coming before you, so you can vote to waive our right for foreclosure, so that we do not foreclose on these properties.
But I was reading that some of them are just, they're not in good shape and they're just maybe, not very safe. So do we have any kind of, like a leg to stand on to ask them to remove them and put that cost on? How does that work?
So if they were unlivable, code would be out there. They're just items that you would not want to take over, and that's why they're foreclosed. They're not to the point where somebody can't live in them. It's just you would not want to be responsible for taking over a property that's on leased land, because then you become, you start paying the landlord the rent for the lot.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding that.
Councilor Nagy.
Is there some type of like loophole I don't, I guess, understand about? So if a property is a liability to the city and has been condemned, and it's on leased land, shouldn't the responsibility sit either with the person who owns the property or the people who own the land?
So these are not condemned properties. They're just properties that you would not want to take possession of. They are unleased land. So like I said, if we would foreclose on these, and they, for example, would be in a mobile home park, we would start paying rent to that mobile home since we took over that property. These are just waiving the rights due to the tax liens that we file, the sewer and water and stormwater, liens that we file. If you do not waive the right, it's an automatic foreclosure after 18 months, once those liens are filed. So all this is stopping that process of foreclosing on properties that we do not want to take over.
My question on that is then what motivates the people to clear their lien or clear their bill?
So people do end up going on payment plans and getting them paid off, but there are dates that you have 18 months to pay before. So if you are on a payment plan and they're paying $10 a month or a small amount, this would forego that foreclosure process and allow them to continue paying and get that caught up.
Councilor Najin, please continue.
The last question I'd have with that is so if we waive our right to attach a lien for foreclosure, can we revisit this, or is that?
You have to revisit it every year. I believe the law is the MRS Title 35A for water liens and MRS Title 38 for sewer and stormwater. So these will be coming forth in front of you every year, I believe, to waive. So at that time, if you didn't want to, then you wouldn't have to waive it.
Councilor Chittum.
Yes, to follow up on Councilor Najin's question, is there any mechanism that the city is undertaking now to try and recover the costs that have, the fees for stormwater, water, and sewer that have not been paid
Correct.
by
So
these properties?
we have an individual, an employee who does call and set people up on payment plans. That is a large part of her job. So they do try to work with individuals to get them on payment plans and get them up to date.
Okay, thank you. I would just not like to come back every year and say we're going to waive our right to take the, I understand why we don't want to acquire the property, but I also understand that everyone else is paying water and sewer and stormwater fees. Let's make certain that we're not giving an out and a loophole to these folks who simply say, no, you're going to waive your right to lien.
Councilor Gallant.
Thank you, Mayor. Are these actually trailers or homes?
They're actually trailers.
So would it not be advisable to foreclose, pull it off of there, and not pay rent, and sell a trailer for whatever's owed on a tax lien?
If the city takes it over, there's legal ramifications if they owe their lot rent, back lot rent, to clear up certain items before you would be able to remove it, and then you would have to pay. It's state law that anybody who removes a mobile home has to come in and pay up taxes, sewer, stormwater, and water before that mobile home can get moved.
So another question would be, individuals who are on Section 8 or have vouchers, would they be eligible to live in one of those places? Could we not take them over and then put one of our people who are, right now, don't have a place to live, would have the money then to pay things? I mean, there might be a loss of some sort, but I'm just wondering in the long run, you know, if they, at $10 a month, and I understand finances and people the way things are, however, they're never going to catch up. Could we not take over and they move out, and then we have someone in Section 8 who goes in who has got hard cash to pay for things?
You would get into a lot of legal, because the city doesn't tend to kick people out of their homes that haven't paid. We try to work with them and get the liens paid off. a lot of individuals who are selling their homes that have the liens, work it out with the mortgage or the lawyers that are going to be selling to get those paid off before the house can be sold to them. So we tend not to remove individuals from their home.
All right, thank you.
And, depending on the age and the cost of the trailer, moving a trailer is extremely expensive, and then where are you going to put it? Depending on the age and cost of the age and condition of the trailer, moving it could be more expensive than it is actually worth. Councilor Najin?
I apologize for not doing prior research on this, but I'm just curious if either the director or administrator are aware of if any of these properties are in any of the 3 trailer parks that were recently sold to out-of-state agencies.
I would have to look that up. I am not aware of that, but I can get back to you on that.
I believe some of them are. I know Autumn Lane and Village Drive, that's the ones up off of Sabata Street, that's 1211 Sabata Street. I'm not sure about, Oxbow Drive is up that way. Merton Boulevard, 2 Merton Boulevard, that's a street, that's off Lincoln Street. That's, I think, just trailers that are on some land, but I think that may be owned by Franklin Company, that land. Harvest Lane is up on Sabata Street. Then you got Cotton Road, so I don't know if that's sold. I just think that's on land. So some of these are, some of these are not. I think that the city has done this historically just because the costs associated with if we take them over, if we try to take them to court. Sometimes do we take somebody to small claims court, it's going to cost us $1,000 to get $200 back. It doesn't make financial sense. So I think that's why the city has always done this, to liens, and then we try to get them to pay as opposed to kicking them out in the street, because then you're talking at least, probably 40-plus people here that were going to be homeless if we kick them out of these trailers.
And my concern would be, of course, that any of those places that changed hands recently, they may see sharp upticks in their lot rents very shortly, which maybe we don't put an additional pressure over a...
Well, I am supportive of this practice of waiving these liens, so we don't have to take possession of these.
Councilor Chittum?
Thank you. I think next year when we come to this process in the annual business of running the city, I'd like to see information pertaining to how many of these liens have been forgiven in the past, and what sort of efforts have been made, how much progress has been made in paying off the sewer, water, and stormwater liens, so that we can then make a better decision on whether to waive liens or not. A question is, this is a single council order. Would it be in order, and I'm not proposing we do this tonight, but would it be in order for the council, for example, to say, yes, we approve this order except for item number 11? Just making up a number.
I would believe you'd have to amend the order and then vote on it.
Okay, but that amendment could be an amendment made tonight. Should we want to do that? Okay.
Correct.
My request for more information next year, I realize I don't want to burden staff any more than they're already burdened, but I think we need that information in order to make intelligent, informed decisions. Thank you.
Councilor Roy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The question that I have, and maybe a question that other people are thinking, what happens if somebody doesn't pay? Is there any bite to that?
We do take individuals to small claims court, and like I said, we do. They do for, you can shut off for water. There are certain things you can't shut off for, but there is a process that they go through. As I stated, they work very hard to get these individuals to get on a payment plan and get it caught up.
Thank you.
We have our Assistant Director of Economic Development. Did you want to chime in, or is that, or?
Good evening, Council. This is not my department. My name is Nate Libby. I'm with the Department of Economic and Community Development. I had some experience doing mobile home lending at my prior employer. I think an important distinction here, and one of the questions you've all raised, is how does the city recoup its money that's owed to them? I think the confusion might surround this idea that we're waiving the right to foreclose on these properties, but we are not relinquishing our lien on these properties. And the lien is that legal title to the property that when and if it sells, it's at that time, if all other efforts fail, it's at that time that the city's made whole. So the action tonight is not asking you to waive past due balances. It's saying you're waiving your right to foreclose on the property at this time. You'll still hold on to the lien. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Libby.
That's why I hide them.
Councilor Najin.
And the one thing that I'm just thinking about is like on a municipal level, is there, I guess, it's probably regulated by state, but I would think that like on leased land, wouldn't we want to have like a second guarantor on who holds the lien? Who holds the responsibility? I don't know how that actually works, but I'm just thinking like, for instance, if the person who cannot pay, then can the landowner who's leasing out the land be held responsible in some way?
That would have to be in the lease. So there are some mobile home
Can
parks.
you, yes, thank you.
There are some mobile home parks that have it within their lease that they have to make sure that they pay their taxes and their water and the sewer and stormwater. So there are some mobile home parks that have that within their lease. There's some that do not.
Administrator O'Malley, have we been to public comment for this agenda item?
You have not, Mr. Mayor.
And we are now going to, thank you, Mr. Libby. We are now going to public comment for this agenda item.
I don't know if maybe God knew what, but one of the things I feel we need to start doing in the city with that when it comes to this is a lot of people, so the city can recoup, is just sell the taxes. Someone can come and buy the taxes and take over it, the property. I see so many cities, Denver does it, Michigan does it, so many cities do this, and then what you do is you post it on the city's website that these taxes on such location are past due or are in foreclosure, and these taxes need to be paid. And you will get so many people just like migrate, just buy them up. You won't have to worry about it. I heard from somebody, a friend of mine, who was doing this, and a couple of states, a couple of cities were pulling like an extra $2.5 million in the city budget. There's a lot of money here, and I know I can sort of feel in the room that it's some people are thinking about, because we have it's like right there. And I'm seriously, if I'm a first-time buyer or a young person, I need my own place. If I can come and give you, let's say the taxes are overdue of, say, $40,000. I come to the city, I give the money to the city, I take the deed over to the property, and then once I have possession of the deed of the property, now I can do two things. I can lease it out and recoup my money from that point, or I can take it in possession for myself. So the city gets their money that they need, and someone gets a chance to have a house that they did not have that opportunity without having to go through a big mortgage company. And people do it all the time. There's actually a term for it. I just don't know it off the top of my head. And I think we should really look at this, because I feel like it's there. And it's a great opportunity, like or organization or something could come along right with that. So I really hope someone is understanding what I'm saying. And it's definitely good ideas that we could utilize. Thank you.
Further public comment? Back to the council. Councilor Najin.
Just as a point, I grew up in a rural town that was economically distressed, and many of my classmates lived in trailers, mobile homes that had well past their expiration date. Tonight we have on the agenda the shelter committee piece. We're also talking about seniors and other people in fixed incomes and increases in taxes generally. The only point I want to make in that is that a mobile home is actually a home. And in many cases, it is affordable housing for people. Unfortunately, there is a situation where many of the mobile home park, or a few of the mobile home parks recently, have been purchased by out-of-state investors who are creating pressures for folks who are renting. So renting the land and not the property and not the building.
Further comments from the council? Administrator O'Malley, please call the vote.
Counsel from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item number 9.
Item number 9 is a discussion regarding membership of the ad hoc committee on the establishment of a homeless shelter. This is a discussion item. There are no votes needed tonight.
Councilor Chittum, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I asked for this item to be placed on the agenda because 2 weeks ago, we unanimously, I believe, stood up a council-created ad hoc committee to address creating a homeless shelter. This was to build on the work of the homeless report, the homeless committee that was created by Mayor Shaleen 3 years ago, I believe, or 2 years ago. Thank you. The order required that certain specific organizations be represented and also some very general areas of people with expertise in addressing these problems. In the past 2 weeks, I have been, with other councilors, have been putting together a list of people who have agreed to serve on this committee, and I would like to read the names of those people, all of whom have agreed to this. We have, I believe, 22 people who have agreed to serve on a committee which is capped at 13. And these people are Lauren Bustard, who is with the Maine Housing Committee, Jamie Cowett, who runs the store next door, Councilor Gallant, Councilor Longchamp, and Councilor Roy have all expressed an interest in serving on the committee. Aaron Reed and Tanya Sands, who are representing Trinity Jubilee, have agreed to serve on the committee if appointed. Linda Scott, whom we all know as a prior city council member. Craig Settlemeyer, who has been instrumental in pushing this initiative, Jeff Tardif from Rumford Group Homes. Chris Bicknell from New Beginnings. Eric Guite, who runs Sheltered by Jesus. He's the housing manager there. Kevin Boylard from Caden's Kitchen. Megan Parks, public health professional. David Bilodeau from Spurwink. Rebecca Austin, who will be the new executive director, of Safe Voices come June 1st. Administrator O'Malley has agreed to serve on this committee if appointed. Sonia Bermonti, who recently received or will soon receive an award from the City of Auburn for her outreach and work, is an individual who has experienced the lived experience of homelessness, I believe was the language in the creation of this committee. Also, Rodney Horning has the lived experience of homelessness. So there are two candidates there that would fill that very specific slot. I have also recently learned that former councilor Stephanie Gelinas is willing to and eager to serve on this committee. So there's a list of names, Mr. Mayor, who have all experienced heavy activity, and a passion for addressing this problem. When I speak with these people, I make it clear that we're not going to solve this problem. We can never solve the problem until there's adequate housing nationwide for everybody, but we can address the problem. and we can make some serious steps to providing not only a roof over the heads of people who need it, but also services that will allow them to transition from homelessness into permanent shelters. These people all have experience, expertise, and a passion to address this problem. I have told each one of them that I am serious about addressing the problem, but I don't have any tools. I don't have the experience, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the skill set that these folks do have. So, having read the names, I am now going to make a motion that the City Council strongly recommend to the Mayor that he select members of the Homeless Shelter Committee from this list of names that I have read just now. That's my motion.
Do we have a second? Councilor Najin has seconded it?
I was.
Or did you?
I wasn't seconding, but I will, yeah.
Well, were you seconding it, or we did? I
just had a comment concerning the names, but I would second it, yes. So I will second, or Councilor Gallant can second.
At this point, I will recognize you as the second, and now discussion on this motion. Yes, Councilor Najin.
I just have one question about the names that you just read out, because it seems the names have changed from a list I saw earlier. Is Linda Doucette Scott on that list? She is. Okay. No worries. I guess that was the P. I don't have a visual in front of me, so.
Councilor Harriman, did you have something?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that although the council created this ad hoc committee, under our charter, we unfortunately do not have the ability to appoint members to the committee. That does fall to the mayor, so we can do what we are proposing right now to strongly encourage people from a particular list, but we do not have that ability on our own.
Yes, and I will say, yeah, happy to take the council's suggestions as I consider names to add to this committee. Councilor Gallant?
Could you read back the motion, please?
Do you mind moving your mic?
Read back the motion,
I want to
please.
make sure I have this correct. So the motion is to direct the mayor to strongly consider the names read or given to the mayor for the creation of the ad hoc committee.
This list was distributed to the mayor and city council as well as to you, Mr. Administrator.
Okay, I will say that some of the names I think you read, I don't think is on the one I have, so maybe I didn't get the same copy.
You are correct. I spoke with Rodney Horning this afternoon after distributing the list. He is a person with a lived experience of homelessness. And I have just learned, as I said, that former Councilor Stephanie Gelinas has agreed to serve on this committee if appointed.
So we can provide all those names to the mayor for his consideration.
Absolutely.
Terrific.
Councilor Najin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, possibly, we might want to put it somewhere public, I think, just because this document wasn't in the paperwork. But I have no issue with any of the names here at all. Obviously, I don't necessarily think that the search, if there's somebody who would do as good a job as anybody on this list, I'm fine with that as well. But I would say that I support that the motion that you put forward, that we urge the mayor to strongly consider the list of names here.
Councilor Gallant.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to agree with Councilor Najin that this list is our recommendation. Obviously, the mayor may have some of his own that he can bring forth to discuss with us, so it's not limited to, but it's just our broad way of going about saying we've reached out, we know most of them, or actually all of them, have agreed at some level to do this, so that make the process easier, and in hopes that, I believe our original requirement was to have an answer tonight. Obviously, we can't make that tonight as we're doing this, so I'd like to extend that till the 30th of the month to give the mayor an opportunity to pick these people and then maybe come back and give us the information via email who his recommendations are.
Yes, and for the council's, for the public's benefit, there was some discussion as, because I have appointment powers for these positions, but I need to consult with the council, in essence, run the names by them, and that should be done, it was agreed that it should be done in a public setting. And so I believe that we will be doing that on the May 30th special meeting that we have, and so that will be the aim. Councilor Najin.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention right now that the funding period for main housing, that's like an October window. We really need to make sure we stand this up as quickly as possible, and also state that there is still a need right now for some type of emergency warming shelter situation, because we will not have this stood up and funded by the time it gets cold. And so just to bring that forward, I think maybe we could ask our friends across the way what they're planning on doing as well, and come up with a plan for that piece.
Councilor Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like the councilors before me, I like the people on the list. I've worked closely with a lot of them, and I think there is a lot of experience here to get this moving forward. I'm really excited about this. Just want to let you know.
Councilor Chittum.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Najin, for bringing this up. With every person I have spoken on this list, I've made it clear that a warming shelter is a parallel path. There is simply no humanly way possible that we can stand up a permanent homeless shelter in time for winter next year. One of the tasks of this homeless shelter is not to create an emergency warming shelter. That is a topic that will be addressed by this council, and I think one of the things that the council is going to do as soon as it figures out how is to direct staff to prepare a request for proposals so that we can go through the process with a little more order than we did on the emergency basis last year. This committee is not charged with creating an emergency warming shelter. We do need to do that as a parallel effort. Thank you, Councilor Najin, for reminding us of that.
Public comment for this agenda item.
Ronnie Parity, Ward 6. I agree. I think the mayor should accept some of these names, and this is from the councilor, and that he name it soon, and you give him a date that he has to name these names. I'm worried that the mayor will only name his friends to the things like he's done in the past, and only people that agree with him. So I think he should take your list that is given. You have more knowledge of what's going on in the community than he does. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Datsi Aponte. I'm a housing navigator for Androscoggin. I work for Lewiston Housing Authority. I'm also a citizen here of Lewiston. I am in Ward 6. So I don't know if it's appropriate, but wanted to join the list, if you can consider my name. I have more than 23 years experience working with homeless populations, also lived experience, and I'm just interested in being part of it, if it's possible.
Director Roy, can you please hand her a business card? Could you please, I'm sorry, your name again?
Datsi
Aponte.
Datsi.
Director Roy will give you one of my business cards, or has just done so. If you can email me your contact info,
Absolutely.
That would be great.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Further public comment? Back to the council. Councilor Roy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if this is appropriate, but I have worked with Datsi, and I can vouch for Datsi. I believe she's got a lot of good ideas and a lot of ability. So,
I appreciate the council quickly creating this committee. Look forward to making appointments. Our interests are aligned here. We need to do something quick for our unhoused neighbors and for our city. So look forward to moving this forward. Further comments from the council? Administrator O'Malley, please call the vote.
All right, so the motion is to direct the mayor to strongly consider the names provided to the ad hoc committee on homelessness. Councilor from Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We are now up to reports and updates from councilors. Are there any? Councilor Glant?
Thank you, Mayor. The senior committee met this month. I wasn't there. I was in sunny Florida. However, we did get our surveys back. We have some numbers, and we'll be forwarding those to you in probably the first June meeting of what we found out, what's going on, and a plan to move forward. All of my committee members not expire, so I go, well, they're old, so no. They all run out of term here in June. Many are reapplying, so I'd like to put out to the public, if you're interested, reach out to your ward representative, because we each get to appoint one, so we can take care of that. So part 2 would be the finance committee is still waiting for a member.
Councilor Najin?
I just want to report out concerning the 911 Center Committee. The $100,000 that we have basically taken out of the funding mechanism due to the fact that the City of Auburn started the process by underfunding by $50,000. The way that the agreement works is that we have to we can't pay more, basically. And so in the last meeting, we were going over how those budget pieces would work as we wait to hear back from Androscoggin County commissioners on whether or not they would even entertain the concept of basically taking on our 911 center, basically becoming a consolidated 911 center. But there are a few things I just want to point out. One is our call center is CLIA certified. That's one of the possible things that we don't fund is our CLIA certification, which speaks to a certain level of service and also backs up our other CLIA certified departments. One is staff. There's very possibly going to be less people answering the phones, and it's also training. And so as we move forward through this process, regardless of what happens concerning the consolidation effort or consideration, there's a real need to make sure that we have people who can answer the phones for our emergency service responders here in our community. And so I just want to bring that forward, mention it. Next month, we'll have a better idea of what exactly we'll be cutting in order to make up the $100,000 shortfall if nothing changes between now and then.
Further reports and updates from the council. We are now up to new business. Councilor Chittum.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve the separation agreement with Heather Hunter and to authorize the City Council President to execute this separation agreement on behalf of the city.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, hold on one second. Administrator O'Malley.
I'm going to need a motion to suspend the rules, and then we can add that
Thank you.
agenda item first. So I'm going to need a motion to suspend the rules at this time to add an agenda item.
I move that we suspend the rules at this time to add an agenda item.
And do we have second by Councilor Gallant. Discussion on this? Councilor Chittum.
I don't think I jumped the gun. I think that we had an agenda item under executive session 1, the document of which referenced that we were going to be discussing a matter of personnel.
And this is how you'll add that item onto the agenda, Councilor Chittum. I checked in on this if this was going to be a possibility.
Okay,
This is
all right.
the
Well, I
direction had.
appreciate your diligence, Mr.
We have that
Administrator.
motion first and a second, and then if we vote on that, then you can present that
Okay.
resolve.
Yes.
Fine. Thank you.
Further discussion on this motion? Public comment on the suspension of rules? Back to the council. Administrator O'Malley, please call that vote.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll have the motion, Councilor Chittum.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the separation agreement with Heather Hunter, and I move we authorize the City Council President to execute that separation agreement on behalf of the city.
Second.
Second by Councilor Glant. Discussion? Public comment? Back to the council. Minister O'Malley, please call the vote.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Resolve passes 7-0.
Thank you. Any other new business before we move on to executive sessions? Councilor Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if this is, I'm new to this, I've never done this, so I'm going to step out of my comfort zone right now. One of the things I wanted to do is there a way, like, we might be able, and probably a lot of people are not going to be in favor of this, but I had a discussion with one of my constituents, and I'm wondering, we don't have trash, like, not a trash pickup, but we don't have like a day like Auburn does or a week set aside for bulky waste or anything like that. So what I was wondering, and what one of my constituents was wondering is there a way we might be able to have one free garage sale permit, and then if you have any extras, just to be able to get rid of some of the stuff that they don't want? I'm wondering if there's a way we can try to look into that. I don't know how to, waive a fee for like one garage sale.
So, all right, so are you looking for a free bulky waste day?
In lieu of a free bulky waste day, like a garage sale instead, because like some of the bulky waste that goes out is not garbage. Like somebody would probably buy it in a garage sale, right? So what I'm looking for is like right now, whoever has a garage sale has to pay for a permit to have a garage sale.
That is
like
correct.
maybe give one free garage sale per household or something, if that's something they want to do to get rid of some of the bulky waste. I don't know if that's something I can do.
We could, I mean, you folks could vote on that. I can get the clerk's office, they're the ones that collect that fee. I mean, I can talk with Kathy when she returns, and we can put that on as an agenda item if you want to make a certain weekend or something along those lines, or maybe one per year. I mean, people usually
Right.
don't have more than one garage sale a year. I mean, some
Right.
people do, but
Right.
if that's what you want to do, then
Well,
we can.
I'm just looking at that because, again, I mean, there was a time where a lot of people were in favor of having a bulky waste pickup, and now what do we do with that? I mean, there's no way to get, like, if you have a limited supply, then maybe having a garage sale might get rid of some of that. I'm just trying to ask for it.
Councilor Glant.
Thank you, Mayor. I love that idea, but I'd like to see it to be on one particular weekend, once a year, so that the clerks don't have to, be, every time someone comes in to get one, we just happen to know that this weekend in June, July, whatever is decided, that if people are running around, see a yard sale, they're not gonna go stop and ask for a permit. Then that eliminates people having to deal with that. And plus, it could be a way of getting people to come to town, right? Citywide yard sale, who knows, gonna drive around, look at houses or look at things of that nature,
Appreciate that, thank you.
so.
Good idea.
I guess my only, perhaps we should just workshop this idea at this point. But my concern is, do all the residents' schedules line up with this one weekend? And my guess is no. But Councilor Nagy?
I just want to mention, when I first moved in my neighborhood, there was a family who was from the south that lived next to me, and they started a barbecue at like 7 o'clock in the morning for their yard sale, and it must have been the most successful thing you'd ever see. Like everybody in the neighborhood stopped by, and so like when you think about like the neighborhood or community yard sales, there's like a way that you can actually do that to generate revenue for nonprofits, for instance, all kinds of different pieces. And so yeah, I love the idea. I'm not quite sold on how like bulky waste is tied to the yard sale, but I like the idea a lot.
please let us know when your barbecue is starting up at your yard sale, and we will call a special meeting at your house.
Right.
Councilor Harriman, did you have something?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say I like the idea, and also just as a general announcement, Healthy Neighborhoods is doing a bulky waste event this summer. It is, because of the way their grants work, it's only for residents of the tree streets, not the entire city, unfortunately. But it's the first Friday and Saturday of each month from now until September. The one exception is July. It'll be the second Friday and Saturday because of the holiday. But you can find out more on the Healthy Neighborhoods Facebook page or their website.
Councilor Najin, do you have something?
I was just going to say, based on that bulky waste conversation, you know, if you do have like a community yard sale, for instance, right? Healthy Neighborhoods has the model that works for those bulky waste pickups, and it's not a humongous amount of money because there's a lot of volunteer effort that's put into it, and you know, so that's a possibility for certain neighborhoods if they want to look at those models.
Councilor Sol, did you have something?
I just wanted to add to Councilor Harriman's. I think the next one is June 7th and June 8th, and it's a simple form. It's real easy to fill out. Pick your time and your day.
Administrator O'Malley, are we getting this are you checking in with the clerk then?
Yes, I'll speak with Kathy and I'll get back to you folks. As you notice, she's not here tonight, but she does have an excused absence.
You've been doing an admirable job, and we appreciate you, Administrator O'Malley. If there's more people here, I would say we should do a round of applause. But yeah, I believe we're heading to executive session.
Yes, executive session. Requested action to enter into executive session pursuant to Title I, Section 456C to discuss an economic development issue for which the premature disclosure of the information would prejudice the competitive bargaining position of the city. And there's no anticipated vote after this.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councilor Najin.
Second.
Second by Councilor Glant. Administrator O'Malley, please call the vote.
Council from Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Lewiston. Good night. We're heading into executive session. We will not be back.